Wheat Don't Tell Me is recorded in front of a live brewery audience the third Thursday of every month at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington.
Wheat Don't Tell Me you're at Mountain Lakes with all of your friends. Wheat Don't Tell Me you're gonna start talking about craft beer again. We're cracking wise on random craft beer news, hanging out with brewers, owners, and maltsters, doing interviews. It's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show. It's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show, it's the Wheat Show.
From downtown Spokane, Washington, this is Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's live audience show and podcast. This month, taking the show on the road and recording from Lumberbeard Brewing Company. You know, Chris, even though we're not at Mountain Lakes, I found a way for folks to listen in if they're at the brewery tonight.
Oh, how's that?
It's through my Short Dave radio. I'm Dave Basaraba, and here, as always, is your host, Chris Sindrick.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody. It's great to be here at Lumberbeard Brewing tonight. We've got a little change of scenery this month for our live show podcast recording. We have taken our short leave of the brewhouse stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company to visit Lumberbeard Brewing. Tonight, we'll be chatting with folks showcasing specialty grains grown right here in the inland Northwest with the first ever Grainmaker Beer and Grain Festival. Grainmaker features 7 unique beers brewed with grains from Clearwater and Holliker Farms of Coldstream Malt and Grain Company, and they are malted by Link Malt. Grainmaker happens tomorrow, August 12th, at Ya Brewing Company, and features beers that are brewed by Ya Brewing, Holy Mountain Brewing, Bell Baker Brewing, Ravenna Brewing, Veritable Beer Company, Moonraker Brewing, and Fair Isle Brewing. But before we begin, as always, I'm joined by Dave Basaraba and Tim Hilton of Mountain Lakes Brewing Company, as well as Brett Gordon from Lumberbeard Brewing. Well, gentlemen, what's the latest in the craft beer scene in Spokane, and what's happening at Lumberbeard and Mountain Lakes Brewing?
Well, this weekend on Sunday, we have the Women's Club Brew Fest. We're in the middle of Lester Cup Brew Off in downtown here, so we've got our Radler available, the winner of this round of the Lester Cup, in my humble opinion. What else we got going, Tim?
Mountain Lakes has construction in front of their building, so if you have some fancy and can get through lots of construction, and you can make it to our place, we're still open, so come see us.
Yeah, which has gotten better. I was by there today, and the road looks amazing. It's just the sidewalk that they need to pour.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
So it looks like a good road. You can't use it, but it looks good.
It looks amazing.
It's beautiful.
There's a green bike lane.
I took pictures of it today like a proud new father. Oh, there's the road.
There
if we
it
could
is.
just get a sidewalk to the door now, we'll be in business.
Right. And then when the construction's done, what will be your excuse that no one's still coming to the brewery?
Chris, we'll figure something.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. How about Brett? Anything happening at Lumberbeard?
Sorry. All right.
Turning the mic on usually helps. We had a couple of new things. We just did a hop water. And so it's a non-alcoholic option seltzer. It's a hop seltzer, I guess.
What are the main ingredients in that?
Hops and water.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really complicated. Which is super fun because if you've had maybe one too many or you just still want something flavorful at the brewery, you can finish the night with a hop water or start. I don't know, either way.
Ramp up or ramp down.
Yeah, either way. It totally works. The other exciting thing that we just had happened a couple weeks ago is we are now in all of the Spokane Rose Hours and Super Ones with a couple of brands, yeah. So that was super exciting for us and super fun. But yeah, it's a big deal for us.
That is a big deal. And Super 2's coming, but just Super 1's for now?
Yeah, just the Super 1s for now. Hopefully Super 2s in the near future.
Cool. That's awesome. Right. Well, to start the show off, we like to ask important people who work in the craft beer industry questions about what they do and how they do it. It is called Not My Beer. As tonight's show is all about celebrating local inland Northwest grain, we are starting out chatting with a few of the folks who are responsible for making Grainmaker Beer and Grain Festival happen. Please welcome tonight's guest from Link Malt, Brian Estes.
What's up?
From Ya Brewing Company, Jason Goss.
Hello.
And from Holliker Farms and Coldstream Malt and Grain Company, Matt Holliker.
Hey, everybody.
Well, welcome everyone. It is great to have you on the show, and I'm super psyched that this festival is happening. So let's start there. Where did the idea for Grainmaker come from, and what is the primary objective of the event?
Hit it. This is like a world-class grain growing region, right? Palouse, just to the south of us. It's killer. It's epic. It's almost like the Yakima Valley hops of grain. We're sitting on a gold mine. And we're really fortunate to have a small handful of super innovative grain growers who are looking at barley varietals and growing practices to bring to craft beer a quality of grain, which is the base of beer, right, to rival what we've seen the hops industry do for craft beer over the last 20 years. And we're sitting right in the epicenter of where that's going to start. So I work with the malt processing facility. So malting is the steps that you have to take raw barley through for it to be ready to make alcohol, is the simple way to put it. And we recognize that potential is something that we should celebrate locally, and that we should be bringing folks in from out of town, customers of the farms and the malt house, peers of the craft brewing community here in Spokane, to get to see the region and what's going on at a key time of year, harvest. So we've got folks coming in from all over the West Coast over the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to culminate in a pig roast and just sunburned beer fest out in a field about 45 minutes south of town. But because all of this has started here in Spokane, we figured we should start right here at one of our local breweries and get to hang out and celebrate the harvest and be excited about what's next for barley and craft malt in the region.
Woo, that's awesome. So to make it clear, if it wasn't for grain, we would all just be drinking hop water.
Yeah.
Which I've had and is excellent, Brett.
I'm just, not being a Debbie Downer. I'm sure it's amazing, but I take my hop water with grain. I'll do it.
Thank you.
So then,
very much.
how did you guys connect? So the three of you are here. So how did that all happen in the conversation? What did that look like in the kind of creating this relationship to bring these people together for Grainmaker?
What do you think? Okay, so first and foremost, I would like
Get
to
your
toss,
story straight, Jason.
I would like to toss a hearty fuck into the mix so we can
Whoa,
get
Hey.
more
we're
there.
almost there. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
We just need one more.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
We have a good relationship with Link. We do 90% of our product is made with Link malt, basically craft malted malt, and the majority of that, our base grain is Genie Pale and Genie Pilsner malts, and that is where Mr. Holliker comes into play. And since with the event in general. Brian had this excellent idea, had the partnership with both of us, Matt and I, and it just all came together. I mean, we're basically neighbors right down the road, so it only made sense to hopefully involve us. And moving forward, too. I hope we don't get kicked out after this year. I don't know. We'll see.
I heard it was a total misunderstanding. Like, they were like, oh, we should probably bring a brewery in. And Zach was like, yeah. And then someone just made a phone call.
How long you been thinking about that one?
Since the show started.
Pretty good.
And he means like back in 2020 when the show started.
I think all the other brewers were busy, actually.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's probably true. We don't have shit going on.
And there's two brothers. You can parcel it out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We got 4 hands.
Yeah.
So Matt, tell us a little bit about Genie and the other grains that you have, and then how that came to be, just for people that haven't listened to that podcast, which is probably only a small percentage of people in here.
So we're always looking for a variety of barley that makes sense agronomically, and agronomics is the mix of economics and agriculture, and so when we look at what we're going to grow, it has to make sense from a residue standpoint left in the field for the next crop. It has to make sense from a financial standpoint, and it has to make sense from a malting standpoint. Our business started over the passion for growing barley. Most people in our region grow barley because it's a crop rotation. It's not necessarily to make money or whatever. I share a passion with Chris and Nate Riggers to grow barley. We've consistently grown barley on our farms year in and year out since I've been farming and they've been farming. So we, I guess it's about 18 months ago now, we decided just to become everything downstream of the malt house business, where we grow the barley, we clean the barley, we truck the barley, and we deliver a product to the malt house that we know exactly the field it came from. We know exactly what the certificate of analysis looks like. All of our barley is traceable back to where it was grown, who grew it, etc. And really that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to take a crop, push it to the extent that we can make it yield, and yet still maintain good malt quality. And we started working with Brian, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I guess. We've been working with Brian. We've recently, over the past year, we were doing some toll malting at Montana Craft Malt in Butte, and they decided that they liked our barley better than they liked their Montana barley. And so now we're growing a large portion of their barley for them as well. And so we've added a couple more growers, so we've got 2 new growers on board with us. And our goal is to work with people. We don't have contracts. We don't have, it's all we trust the guy enough that we're going to grow with him. I'm an agronomist. I sell chemical and fertilizer. I make recommendations to farmers on how to grow a better crop, how to make money, etc. And so everybody that works with us is growing under the same, processes and regimes as we are. And our goal is just to make good, solid craft malt and bring it to guys like Jason and Brett and Mountain Lakes and everybody at a reasonable price.
I think the thing that Matt buries in there, it's, you can listen to him and be like, oh yeah, this guy knows how to farm, and he's got a vision for the business, right? I think the other thing that he and the Riggers bring and what sets Coldstream apart is how invested they are in their relationships. And for anybody that's in or close to the brewing industry, that's key to everything, and very different than other supply chains. So I think that's something that these guys really understand as well as anybody. And it's, I don't know, this is a cool event to get to talk about it, just because there are so many of those relationships that are just here to hang out, and that's what this is all about, getting to get to know people and share a beer, right?
Yeah, I think so. And so with that, with the Grainmaker Festival, which is tomorrow, are there still some tickets if people aren't yet?
Yeah, we'll have tickets. We have tickets available, and tickets will be available at the door. Supplies depending.
So what does the event look like? So tomorrow it'll be hosted at Ya. It's from 4 until 8 o'clock-ish. And so tell us a little bit about what people could expect from the event and the breweries that are there.
Yeah, so we are really excited about this. It's going to be closed to the public, ticket only, and we have 7 beers that were brewed with Coldstream grain and malted by Link Malt, specifically for this event. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, you get to come and drink beer from Holy Mountain, Ravenna, Bale Breaker, Fair Isle, Ya Moonraker, and Holy Mountain Did I say
And
warehouse?
then we brewed one especially for the event too.
We ran out of tap
IPA.
space, though. I'm so sorry.
It's only on tap at the PI after the festival
Yeah,
ends, so we will
it's an
see you
after-party thing.
see you at about midnight.
Yeah.
Brian assures me it's still going to be featured prominently.
Don't worry, Grainmaker is coming to St. Helens at the PI at midnight tomorrow night. I'll see you all there.
Right on.
Yeah, see you there.
Yeah, so tomorrow night's it'll go ya, whistle punk, PI.
PI.
And
Roasted
then-
chicken,
and then
burn the
satellite.
shit out of your
Although-
mouth. Picture of St. Helens.
So it's honestly just like every other Friday
Right?
night. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's
yeah.
really no change.
I'm just thinking, this doesn't sound too special.
Yeah.
Only
there's-
now we have
like-
the farmers are coming into town because they're not currently working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a good opportunity, or at least tomorrow, before you have too many beers, it'll be a good opportunity to interact with brewers, farmers, maltsters, have conversations. Link's going to set up a little sensory table to talk about the malt, and Matt will be there, and we can talk about the grain. But it's just, the idea is to come and drink beer and really focus on the local agronomy. I mean, as Brian mentioned earlier, and same with Matt, this region of the country, I mean, Whitman County is the highest per volume wheat grower in the nation, and you just don't really hear about it. You hear about, Yakima Valley, the Willamette Valley, growing hops, but when it comes to grain is the backbone of a beer, and that's one of the most important ingredients of a beer, and so we intend to highlight that tomorrow with these beers that were brewed.
Yeah, and something that we're trying to accomplish with this fest tomorrow is, so we've been making malt since 2016, and I think we would have probably gone out of business like 16 different times since then, were it not for the support of the Spokane brewing community. When there's about 60, 70 craft malt houses across North America, and we see each other every once in a while. And every time I get to catch up with my peers, they say, "How do you do it?" And they don't even say what they're talking about. How do you do it? How do you do it? What do you mean? How do we do what? Well, you guys have so much support from your local breweries. It's incredible, and that's been so critical to us. And the thing that has been really interesting that I've been trying to figure out how to sew it all together over the last 24 months, let's say, is that we're getting these opportunities to ship our malt out the door, and it kind of goes away, and we don't get to go belly up to the bar and drink the beer when it's released because it's a 4-hour drive away. But it's like, oh man, now that we're getting this grain out into the world, there's all these brewers who care about ingredients, care about relationships, but they've never been here. It's to say, how do we get those people here? How do we get their beer here to show the Spokane community all of the places and all the world-class breweries that are further afield that are working with a product that's based here and that frankly wouldn't exist were it not for that, last 6 years of support for what we're doing here in the community. So I'm pretty hyped for tomorrow and getting to kind of see those two worlds and two parts of our experience sort of get to mingle a little bit.
And that's a testament to all the work you and all the people at Link have done, Brian, putting this community together and being the glue that holds it all together. But also, it's a testament when the big boys use your stuff, not just the local guys. So, that deserves a round of applause for the hard work you guys done.
I think that's a key point that we need to address is that LINK stands for Local Inland Northwest Cooperative. And without breweries, distilleries, farmers, and the malt house working together, you don't have a cooperative. And it is a true cooperative. I'm a member of several cooperatives. Mostly the cooperatives are profit-making centers for, patronage or whatever. Link's not that. Link is actually the true definition of bringing communities together, and I think they've done a good job of that in the food side of the business, and they've extended that into the malt side of the business. And I honestly do business with other malt houses, and I can tell you that Link knows what they're doing. Everything that we do is above board. We always, in every circumstance, we try to do what's right, and that means that you're going to get a single varietal and you're going to get a single farm in every bag. You're never going to have blended products. You're never going to have grain that you don't know where came from. Everything that's being sold out of Link Malt is identity preserved. It's been grown specifically to be malted. It's been cleaned and handled and trucked specifically to be malted, and that's something to be proud of because there's very few malt economies in the United States that can say that. Most of them are very large cooperatives that are commingling grain in the same bin. It's going into a rail car. It's going to some big fucking malt house. And nothing that I can say is going to explain that any better than just having good people that care about what they're doing, and that's Link Malt.
Brian said his competitors say he doesn't know how he does it, but I know how he does it. Gets the Spokane brewery. He comes in and he just won't ever fucking leave. Like, he'll come to the brewery, he'll come over brewing. Hey guys, once a mile. It's just every day. And
If I have to drink the goddamn beer myself, so they need to make more.
I have never had a late night text from Country Malt Group asking me to meet them at the PI.
yeah,
I mean, that sums it
That's
up.
the requirement.
Yeah. It's 10:30 at night. I'm headed down to the PI. You want to come? Oh, and do you need a grain order this week?
Business.
Well, I just think, like, right now, you look and it's like, okay, Matt grew it, you malted it, and then these guys brewed it, and then we're all drinking it. And what products do you consume on an agricultural level that you're sitting in front of the people enjoying something that they produced, which is amazing and has a sense of place?
Yeah, it's pretty wild that
Right.
the product you were
Right.
currently drinking basically had a lifespan of,
Right.
45 miles? It's pretty wild. I mean, it's crazy.
and if it's good, it's because we did it right. If it's bad, it's because Brian screwed up.
Yeah, the crush, the crush was off a little
Like,
bit.
So what about the beers? What are we looking at? So I know you've got all these breweries coming in, which are like some of my favorite to be for sure. So what do we, if we go to the grain maker tomorrow? What are these guys brewing?
Yeah, so we got a pretty good range of styles. Fair Isle is coming with what Fair Isle does. Wild, they're coming with a beer called Harlan. I actually don't have the stats on me right now. Brian,
Is that
might
named
be
after
pulling it up
Harlan
right now.
Williams, the comedian?
It might be.
I mean, how'd you know?
I think it's my neighbor. His name is Harlan. Oh, pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous to put that beer through our tap lines, but
You can always buy new taps.
yeah, we'll just clean it. I don't know.
It's gonna be like Brett.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think it's-
Yeah, so Bill Breaker, they've got a hoppy pale ale that they brewed, again, specifically for this event. We've got a collaboration, Yaya's got a collaboration with Moonraker, which we're really amped up about. It's called The Grain Train.
Toot toot.
Toot toot, all aboard, baby. It's a New England IPA. So there's, what, 2 or 3 New England IPAs, I think? Oh, good, yeah, you got the...
That one's got spelt in it.
Yeah, so basically the point is all these beers have specialty grains, right? So our the collaboration has spelt, which is like a really good grain if you want to increase the residual sugars and boost the body a little bit. It's really good for New England IPAs in lieu of wheat or flaked oats.
Released by Washington State University Breeding Program.
Yes.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Anybody? Takers? I'm not a Coug. Fuck the Cougs. I can't say that. That has to be edited out. I'd get in so much trouble.
Okay, I'll get that edited.
Yeah, just scratch that, please.
I'll make a time note to turn up the volume.
So Varietal's got a hazy pale. Ravenna has a, what the hell is that? New England IPA, I think. Yeah, no farm, no beer. It's a New England style IPA. We brewed on our own as part of our Way Back Home series, which is a series that focuses on local grains. In particular, we've got a West Coast pale. It takes you back to the days of like 1995.
Kind of a classic pale ale, right? Y'all can picture a classic pale ale, like the OG craft beer, right?
Like
So-
the Ryan Leaf days.
Yeah.
Ryan Lee,
Yeah. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're there. So here's the crazy fucking thing about pale ale, Northwest pale ales. Back in the day when they made them, they only had shitty bland malt, so it was kind of boring. But I think there's this like potential resurgence with the quality of hops at this point in the year 2020 and really interesting base malt where you don't have to to create flavor, throw in all this caramel malt, that ends up with all this residual sugar and like extra shit that you don't really want, but a nice, clean, dry, flavorful malty, but not gross malty Northwest Pale Ale. That's what's up. So I'm looking forward to trying that beer tomorrow.
So you can get flavor from the malt and the hops.
It'll blow your mind.
It's wild.
It's wild. It's a wild idea.
And the yeast.
Yeah.
No.
Crazy.
The what?
The yeast.
This isn't the yeast maker
Yeah.
festival,
Not gonna-
Jason.
I don't understand the yeast maker.
Well, and I know.
No, I was thinking Sunburn Beer Fest. You mentioned that earlier. Just let's call it Sunburn Beer Fest next year.
Well, on that, I know one of the biggest clients is distilleries as well, and I know we have Warrior represented tonight, and also Westland might be coming in. And if you don't know, Westland is a distillery that focuses on single malt, and that is they're fighting for the category, right, to be
Yeah,
recognized.
and making progress.
It's actually making significant progress to be an American single malt category as a whiskey now. And that's pretty awesome. And big fans, Warrior, of yours, right? And Westland for using the malt.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, I think one of the things you've heard, we've been talking about grain, but then we've also been throwing out names like Genie and Elwa Spelt, is that part of the flavor conversation around grain is that the varietal actually contributes a lot of those flavor characteristics, whether something would be rich and nutty or light and crackery or have a bit of a honey, like wildflower honey aroma, that the actual varieties used, it's not just barley as barley as barley or wheat as wheat as wheat, that those flavor profiles start with the varietal selection that the farm is making, and then when we get to process them in our facility, we pay attention to those differences, and then we work with brewers to say, how does that carry through to the finished product? How does it compare next to different hops, the different aromas, all of that? But I think one of the real groundbreaking conversations is in whiskey and this vision for an American single malt category where they can really drill down and say, this bottle of whiskey came from a single field on a single farm, and it was a specific variety grown in a specific crop year, and this is exactly what that place tasted like at that time. And the guys at Westland are doing it absolutely better than anybody. And they're at a point where, they're not only helping define that vision here in the U.S., but they're turning the heads of their peers on the other side of the pond who have been saying, oh, that doesn't matter, or that's not what it means to make whiskey, and that they've done it that way for, hundreds of years. And we're fortunate to have somebody right over in Seattle who's really pushing the envelope on that. So they've been out tooling around out in the fields south of here all day, and I think they're getting somebody drunk right now. But hopefully they'll roll in and maybe.
Yeah, they might bump
maybe-
in the
maybe
night,
they'll
and
do
then Warrior is here as well. So you have conversation opportunities not only with breweries, but also with the distilleries that are coming through. How does, you talked about that, but farming this year, Matt, can you tell us a little bit, how has farming been this year for grain production?
I think we've had a really ideal season for growing barley. Our winter wheat crop started out a little slow with cool, wet conditions, and we got a nice window for seeding our spring cereals, which would be the barley in our rotation, and we've had pretty exceptional growing conditions, to the point where we were getting concerned about having enough protein in the barley to really do whatever protein does. Brian could probably explain that, but we were having some concerns about that. But then we kind of finished hot and dry, and typically that brings nitrogen in from the soil into the kernel. And so I think barring a horrible hailstorm or a fire or something like that, I think we're going to have some exceptional quality malt barley. We're going to have, it's interesting, we're growing 4 varieties of barley this year. We've grown Genie, or we've grown Franson or whatever, and this year we're growing Genie, we're growing Franson, we're growing Steffi, which is it's a true European style beer that was bred to make European-style Pilsner malts, and we're pretty excited about it.
Is that a new one for you?
It's a new one for all of us. So we've got Steffi. Franzen is a newer, it's an improved Steffi variety. But, you know, there's malt houses in Europe that have made millions of dollars making really good Pilsner malt out of Steffi. So we're excited about that. We're trying to make the agronomics work, see if it'll fit into from a yield standpoint. Right now it looks excellent. Franzen is actually out of the same breeding program. It's supposed to be an improved Steffi variety. Franzen has been a variety that's, there's people that love it. Brett here at Lumberbeard's a Franzen guy, I believe. But you know, we're actually at a point now in our infancy that we have enough Franzen that if somebody wanted to use all Franzen in 100% of their production in 2022, we have enough Franzen to do that. And we've got, you know, enough Steffi that somebody could do that, and we've got enough Genie that somebody could do that, and we've got enough Buzz. Buzz is a new variety out of Montana State, which Buzz is probably the closest variety of barley that never got AMBA certification that there ever was. And nobody's really quite sure why it didn't get AMBA certification. Everything was there to do that.
Can you explain the AMBA certification?
Yeah, so the American Malting Barley Association, essentially, when you breed a variety, you submit all of your statistics to a certifying committee called AMBA, American Malting Barley Association. And what they do is what they're trying to do is they're trying to get every year 90% of that variety that's grown in the United States is going to meet malt specs. And so they look at North Dakota, they look at Montana, they look at Minnesota, Wyoming, Idaho, Washington, and they put these varieties out in trials, and I believe it's 3 years. They look, and everything has to meet specs in those years. And then there's a lot of politics involved as well, as I'm sure everybody can imagine, you know, who does the most in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. Jamie Sherman at Montana State University is one of the best barley breeders in the world. She bred this variety. We're really excited about it. It's a variety that it's everybody that we talk to that's ever malted it says that it's got more vigor than any variety they've ever seen, which vigor typically equates to huge extracts. Excuse me, we're raising some Buzz, and then we're probably going to stick with Genie for the long term, but we're open to look at every variety that comes along. We're pretty excited with the Grainmaker event. We've got Robert Bruggeman, who is the breeder at Washington State University. We were extremely fortunate as the growers in the state of Washington to bring in who we believe is the best barley breeder in the country into Pullman. Barley breeding is a really tough game because there's no money in it. In wheat, they breed a variety, they charge royalties to all the farmers when they buy the seed, and it's actually a profit center. In barley, it's not the case. They'll charge royalties on it, but the acreage is so small compared to wheat that it's very seldom does it even break even. But it's still very important. And as we look into the future, I think the biggest aspects of what we're going to do in the state of Washington with our barley breeding is we're going to breed for craft brewing, and we're going to breed for craft distilling. And we're going to have varieties that might do exceptionally well in Latah, Washington, but might not do good in North Dakota State. But we're going to have the best varieties to put in front of you guys, and it's going to be all about flavor, and it's going to be all about quality.
That's awesome. So I know one of the things that we've seen on the news with the war in Ukraine is they're a significant grain producing country with barley and wheat and other rye and so on. Do you see that there will be an uptick in craft malt because of supply chain demands, or have you already seen that happening?
I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on barley in general, and the main reason isn't because Ukraine grows a lot of malt barley. Mostly what they grow is feed barley. But as you put more pressure on wheat, corn, soy, sunflowers, etc., you're going to see that prices of commodities start to increase. Typically, growing barley costs less than growing wheat, corn, or soybeans. And so once the price of barley gets to a certain level, you can grow it for less money. The economics make more sense. And the exciting thing about that is that we have extremely good access to craft malting facilities where we're sitting today. There isn't really a craft malt house in North Dakota that can handle volumes. There isn't a craft malt house in California that can handle volumes. The two big malt houses, craft malt houses, are in Alameda, California, and Butte, Montana. And those two have the ability to, take care of the inland Northwest, but as their market share grows into central United States and onto the East Coast, it's important that we focus on exactly what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to take care of our Washington brewers, our Washington distillers, and that's why we try to tell this story. But 5 cents a pound of craft malt the day that you put it into the mash tun seems like a lot, but it isn't really a lot when you look at the fact that we're doing all the things that we're trying to do. There isn't more profit in it for us. It's just the aspect of, identity preserving it, using trucks that only haul grain. Look at what we're doing with the big guys, the big malt companies in Longview, Washington. The biggest backhaul on a load of barley going into Longview, Washington is urea fertilizer coming out of China. So the same trucks that are hauling urea fertilizer are hauling your barley to, I'll just call it the malt house in Longview, Washington.
Well, isn't that a thing too that, now we've always told people that we support local, and we do that. We pay a little bit more for our malt bill for beers that we produce. We use almost 100% link malt. But we do that for two reasons. One, we like local. We love supporting local. But all that money stays here in Washington, which is good for our economy. We believe in the more that flows, the better it is. As that price for the national, as their contracts expire and get renewed at a higher price, doesn't that bring more people towards a better product? Where they're like, hey, if I'm going to pay the same price over here, I might as well be getting something better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the foundational thing for us is that we want to be making the best possible product we can, and we really believe in it, and we're going to take every opportunity to introduce folks to that and win them over to it. Man, I mean, the breadth of the economic forces, especially on a global commodity product like barley, we'll just call it above my pay grade, right? But I think the thing for me is, like, along with the warm and fuzzies of getting to know who the grower was, who the maltster was, who the brewer was, and now I can see who the beer drinker is in front of me, right? Is that that feels great, but it also creates opportunity to talk about this shit and try to understand it a little bit better. And I think that it supports responsibility across the board, and integrity and transparency. So those dynamics make my head dizzy, and I think about, I don't like what, feed barley in Ukraine, but you look at the weather in France a few weeks ago, where they grow a lot of malt barley for the malt snobs in the room, for folks like Weirman, who make the really premium malt but produce it at a commodity scale. I haven't seen the crop report, but they're going to have a fun time malting that grain, and it's probably going to create more opportunity for us on top of the fact that their prices are through the roof. But is that a good thing for us? I don't necessarily know that's the case, but because we've got opportunities to have the conversation about what does it all mean, and it's not just some anonymous thing. Like, I think that's the opportunity I see, and I think as long as we're making as good a malt as we can,
Yeah, I think
it'll be good.
I think I didn't mean it as a
No, no,
short-term
yeah.
financial windfall as much as more open minds to there's terroir in beer.
Yeah.
It is an agricultural product.
Yeah.
It is not every batch is supposed to taste like the batch before it. It's not the intention and it's not the goal. We want good quality beer. We want it within the style, within the flavor profile that we've created. But sometimes St. Helens is going to taste a little bit different year over year because we got different fields,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
climate.
It better fucking not.
All right. We'll do everything in our power. Fluffy, puffy sunshine, if it changes just a little bit, I'm never drinking it again.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you about the most excellent grain maker beer and grain festival. However, we have also invited you here tonight to play a little game we're calling Bringing Back the Beer Slang. Yes, beer jargon shared amongst beer geeks and industry folks can become as complex as understanding the origins of flavor in barley and malt. Luckily, we have a panel of brewers, maltsters, and farmers to help sort out this sudsy slang. Here's how the game is played. Dave is going to give 5 beer slang terms to define. Answer 4 of the 5 beer slang terms successfully, and you'll win a prize for one of our audience members, which tonight is a hat, a pint glass, and a pair of Lumberbeard sunglasses.
I've heard they're substantially better than Mountain Lake sunglasses, but it was Brett that told me that.
They have, yeah.
Also, Chris, it's not quite correct. It's a half pint glass.
It is. It's a
Sorry.
small. It's
Yeah.
a, you know.
And it's a half pair of sunglasses with only one lens.
Yeah, sorry.
So there's that.
So you gentlemen will be answering as a team.
So we'll give you this. So, Dave, who is our panel playing for tonight?
Drum roll. DJ. Where's DJ?
DJ's there? Woo!
DJ, we're gonna
DJ.
win this for you.
All right, DJ, if you don't know, works at Nectar. And
He already
so-
has a pretty sweet
Yeah,
hat, so
go
I think
over
he's
there.
going to maybe appreciate a new cool hat.
Go down and see it. So, panel, any questions on how we play? I'm taking the silence as no. Here is your first beer slang term.
Spent grain.
Do we go one by
I know,
one?
this seems like a
I guess
softball.
that was probably, I should
Are
have
we
asked that
supposed to?
question.
Last time I played this game, I got to make shit up. Do I?
That's the point. You can kind of guess, and then we'll
And then-
see. But
and
the
then-
point is
And
to
then
get it right.
DJ has to tell if I'm right or.
So this is different. We've
Sorry.
shaken it up. So what I'm doing is giving you spent grain. The question is, can you come up with the correct definition as you fumble through what might be the definition? Does that make sense?
Oh.
So you don't have to answer correctly right away if you know.
So I don't know if y'all know, like way back in the day, before there were dollars and stuff, grain was a currency.
That's right. The Sumerians and the Egyptians.
You needed to, I'm thinking I might have to buy a new cell phone. I'm gonna have to spend that grain.
Yep. Ah.
DJ, you are screwed, dude.
Wow. All right. Any final answers?
Are we supposed to eventually say?
Yeah, I
what it is?
mean, kind of.
Well, if you know it, because
If you know
DJ is
it.
kind of
It's
hoping.
just hard. I kind of thought you missed this one because it's really tough.
I'm pretty sure that it's when you brew or distill grain and it's like all the sugars and the yumminess are gone from it. It's spent.
No, that can't be it.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Wow. Thank God for Matt Holliger.
Woo! Oh, it was close. Thank
Yeah,
God for a
spent-
farmer, am I right?
Spent grains, the barley left over after mashing in. Breweries often give it to local farmers for feed, or it could be used for bread and pizza crust and cookies.
Dog treats.
Yeah, dog treats, all that kind of stuff.
When we opened, I thought it would be hard to get rid of spent grains, and I think we put an ad in, I don't know, Facebook or something, and we had like 10 farmers calling us.
My former landlord feeds this guy's spent grain to his miniature horses.
No, I thought they were
which
goats,
you can
not
take-
goats? Miniature horses?
Pickles.
And you can
Tickles
taste
the miniature horse.
If I knew it was miniature horse, no way he's getting our fucking grains.
Well, the good thing is you could take that horse on a plane with you, which we learned at last month's podcast with Teddy Benson.
Yeah.
If you were there.
As long
Well,
as
I
it's
will
got a
say-
vest on that says "I'm working." No
That's
petting.
right. I've been fed with spent grains.
Yeah.
Come on the plane. It's all good.
I will add to that, though. I'm sure Brett can attest, and the brewers can attest. The hardest parts of owning a brewery are naming beers and figuring out what to do with your spent grain.
Yep.
It's nearly impossible,
Really?
but it happened. Yeah, it's difficult.
I thought there were people lining up to grab it, or no?
No.
No.
Well, there might be people lining up, but they want to take like a bucket of it.
Oh. So getting people to take
All of it,
totes,
yeah.
super totes of grain
Yeah.
that is spent is
Yeah,
tricky.
It's difficult. Yeah.
So if there's anyone out there,
If you're listening.
if you need 2,000
It makes good.
pounds,
It makes good compost.
I think that's what they're using to pour your sidewalk.
I think so.
Pretty sure
Just waiting.
Should last a week.
Yeah.
Mayor Woodward, pretty sure Altamont Street running down to I-90 from the South Perry District is definitely made with spent grain.
Yeah, spent
Nadine.
grains.
Sorry.
Get them out.
All right, here.
We gave 6 fucks. Brian says we've had enough fucks.
Fuck.
You've
How
given
many?
enough fucks.
Do the audience fucks count as much as the panel fucks?
Oh, they're twice as much. So we're way over.
Yeah.
We've had
Thanks
like
for coming,
12,
everybody.
12 of them.
Yeah. 12 now. Yeah.
I don't think we can give any more fucks.
All right, here's your second beer slang term.
Your second beer slang term is a little bit harder. Love. That's L-O-V. Love. You love this
I can't
beer?
even make anything up about this. I don't.
It's a tennis term.
It is.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's
Pretty sure it's when you're out of beer. It's like 0 in tennis. It's you get beer, love.
I
Pretty-
think it's when you're a whistle punk and there's like that much head on your Czech Pilsner. Isn't that what that's called, Matt? It's that like 6 inches of fuzz. It's called love,
It's,
right?
it's called a schnit.
There's a. Is it? Wait, yeah. Is there like a little accent over the O or the?
Well, we had a discussion when Chris wrote the script. Is it pronounced love or love? That might be a hint, because I also just refer to it as L.
James Bond was a huge fan of
Uh,
love.
I'm gonna say it's Farmhouse Hype Smoothie Brewery in the Greenpoint neighborhood in Brooklyn.
You're right.
Holy
Oh my God, that is so good.
It's actually not correct.
No.
Think color.
They only brew with
think- you guys
Lithuanian
think
yeast
color.
strains, right?
What?
Right? Lithuanian yeast strains only.
Lithuanian yeast strains.
Yeah, Love. It's the brewery in the Greenpoint neighborhood in
Oh.
Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
Think color. Is it a different term for SRM?
Yes, it's SRM might be the chart where the scale.
The love chart.
What is the
what is
love
the
chart?
SRM scale
The
based
love
on?
chart might be short for love. Oh, the farmer got it.
Thank God for a farmer. Am I right? So
There
the
you
number
go.
of times I say love a bond in a day is like more than you want to know.
Yeah.
I've
You just
never
gotta
I've
shorten
never
it.
actually heard it shortened
Gonna
like
shorten
that.
it.
L
OV.
oh.
Just love.
L-
What's
What's
the
love?
love?
Yeah, what's the love?
OV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't go to malt
It's
school.
love is short for lover bond. It's standard measurement for the color of beer. You maybe hear of SRN, the standard reference method, but a lot of times they'll use it for malt. Higher love indicates darker color. Speaking of that, it makes me think of Steve Winwood when he was looking for some Pilsner malt.
That's right.
And he said,
They
what?
said, Bring me a higher love.
Wow, harmony. Holy shit.
That was planned.
That was pretty good.
We didn't rehearse that at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Casey.
I DJ'd a wedding last weekend and we had a bubble machine and a fog machine and that was the third to last song we played.
Oh,
Looking over the
Stevie
Puget
Wood,
Sound.
Steve Woolman, man. Gotta love him. Your third beer slang term is sample cock. Why am I saying this? That's your job.
That's okay.
All right, let's.
You wrote the script. You can read
let's-
whatever part of
let's-
it you
No,
want.
let's edit that out. I'll be like,
I'm pretty sure I got the
hold
answer
on,
to this
hold
one.
on, hold
I got
on.
the answer
Hold
to
on,
this
hold
one.
on.
we gotta
Just
for
for the
pause
sake of
for
the sake of continuity,
pause
because
for editing.
technically he's the host and I am the announcer.
Yeah. So here's your third.
Your third beer slang term is sample cock.
Can you
So,
spell that?
I'm wearing my Holy Mountain shirt, but I'm pretty sure that every time we go to Seattle with Brian to do a sales call on Ravenna, Fair Isle, all these guys, I'm pretty sure that I'm the guy that when they give us sample beers, I drink the whole thing, even though guys like Brian just taste it, whatever.
Sip and spit.
And I'm pretty sure as soon as I go to the bathroom, they go, there goes the sample cock.
I think he's got something there because, when Link started coming to visit us, they brought their little bags and stuff, all these little samples, and Dave's like, "Who's that guy?" I'm like, "He's the sample cock." Sorry, Brian. That
It's
was
the plumage, okay?
That's so. I'll accept your answer.
It's
We'll say
beautiful.
it's
I
right.
like his. Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with it.
it's incorrect, but
Yeah, yeah.
Is it 2 words hyphenated, all one word?
2 words.
2 words.
2 words.
Cock, C-O-C-K.
Yeah, I don't think they're asking you to spell it.
Correct.
Yeah. Sample cock.
I mean, this is like a fucking spelling bee here. Like,
Yeah. Well, a long time ago we
Could you
had.
use it in a sentence?
yeah, actually, that would really help.
Etymology of this, please.
Yes.
isn't it kind of like a wine thief for beer?
I was gonna say, I think it's the thing you turn. It's where you pull the sample out of a fermentation vessel.
It is. That's correct.
So you pull on
You
it?
are right.
Yeah,
Or Matt's answer.
it's a porn audition, I think.
Yeah.
Don't let Matt near your fermenter.
I was about to use it in a sentence, and that
Can
was
you
going
use
to
it
be
in a
on.
sentence, please?
Yes, on the wedding night, she said, "Is that the whole thing, or just your sample cock?"
We have fun.
Wouldn't be the brewing industry without some guy talk. Jesus fuck.
So also known as a Zwickel. If you have a Zwickel beer, that's what you use to.
Oh.
Yeah. So Zwickel.
A Zwickel
Zwi-
port
is-
is a sample
A
cock?
Zwickel is what you use
Yeah.
to take a sample.
A Zwickel is one type
But
of
that's
sample
like
cock.
the Kleenex of tissue. It's the
Yeah.
type. so.
Not all sample cocks are Zwickels, but all Zickles are sample cocks.
Some are different
Important to know.
sizes. Some are girthier than others. What?
Your
It
fourth.
looked bigger on Amazon when I ordered it.
Here's your fourth term.
Don't they know about shrinkage? The Zwickel shrinks.
If anybody wants an explanation, have Brett take you out and he can show you his sample cock.
Brett loves his sample cock.
Which he has proof works.
He's quite proud.
Yeah. Here's your fourth term.
I've drank from his sample cock. I have.
All right, we want to know about you, but not that much. Wow. You know.
You guys really are close.
All right.
This isn't.
All right.
This is a group
If you want to
therapy.
learn something actually about a sample cock, and the initial discharge from the sample cock is something that you should discard before you taste the sample.
Yes.
Like that is
That is
literal
totally true.
technical advice.
Yeah.
So
Don't ever sample the first sample.
guys,
Not right from the tap.
Well, and if
No.
you have a cloudy discharge, it's usually just because of it's just because the yeast hasn't quite settled out. It's not a big deal.
We were shooting for R-rated. We hit X-rated. Well done, fellas.
All right.
I blame Brian and the Pilsner.
All right.
can I get another beer?
Your
Literally,
fourth
somebody
term.
look it up.
Your fourth beer slang term is cart, and I'll spell it for Brian, C-A-R-T. Now, I didn't even know this one.
This is hard.
Sometimes, yeah.
Think about spontaneous fermented beers with a
So,
cart.
so this is a location that's in a light industrial area near an urban center that the last thing that was in it was a go-kart place that now is like the newest hype brewery in the Greenpoint neighborhood in Brooklyn. It's a cart. It's a type of brewery.
It's a type of
startup.
brewery.
Yeah.
Right.
I
It's
think
like a food
I think you
cart.
should confer with your teammates.
Oh, sorry. I'm not speaking for the team. What do you think, guys?
I was actually going to say that.
It's obvious.
Cart. So think of spontaneous fermentation.
Or sort of beers that might have a lot of yeast at the bottom of the.
Like oxidized?
Is it the schmutz at the bottom of the
No.
fermentation?
Well,
Like
it's
the
a way
yeast?
of
No.
dealing with that, sort of, right?
Well, it has something to do with that.
Dead yeast?
It's hard. We're
This
just
is really
gonna
hard.
This is a shame you got it wrong, but you have 3 out of the 5, and that's why I threw this one in there. So those spontaneous fermented beers are so funky and bottle conditioned, but what's with all that sediment at the bottom of the bottle? Well, here's what you do. You buy yourself a little cart that you lay the bottle in that puts it at a proper angle, and it's like a lambic basket that you then use to pour your lambic or spontaneous fermented beers, and it's properly
Like
known
the
as
little
a cart.
wicker
Little
basket
wicker
with a
basket
handle.
that you
Okay.
use, and it keeps it on an angle, so it keeps the lees and the sediment down at the bottom.
DJ, did you know that? I feel like you knew that one.
DJ knew it. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to
actually,
step up for the team,
DJ
bud.
just pulled out.
We're trying to
a
win you
lambic
these sweet
in a
shades.
cart.
Well, bust it out.
There you go.
Let's see that card.
Well, you missed that one, but you still have 3 out of the 5. Do you feel the suspense?
Sometimes
Everybody, they've got to get this right to have DJ win.
Sometimes when I used to go down to the market, I used to ride the horse, and I'd
Pickles?
I'd ride Pickles.
Okay.
He's actually a micro horse, but I'm a micro person, so I would hang the lambic out in front in the cart.
Oh, you don't do that.
That's what I heard. You never want to put the cart before the horse.
No, never.
Very nice. Very nice.
Who controls the applause sign?
All right, here's your 5th term.
Your 5th beer slang term is cereals.
Like the podcast?
That's with an S. This one's with a C.
Oh. Well,
Fruity Pebbles.
I feel like we can rely on the farmer for this one, but we might all know it.
I would lean on him. He's a man you can lean on in this situation.
I would say it's anything from the POA species that you can malt and turn into alcohol.
You've already gone over my head.
Boom. Can you put that in simple terms?
Any type of grain.
Any type of, that's correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. That's Matt.
Thank God for a farmer. Am I right?
Never invite an agronomist to your podcast. It's like, they're just too smart for you.
What was the term you used? Any type of what?
Grain.
No,
The first time.
the first time.
POA. POA is a grass species.
Oh. So
It's like the, in hierarchy, it's like the parent of all grasses.
POA. POA?
POA.
All right.
To put that on your next slang.
Oh, I'm going to write that down.
Spell it back for us.
All the cereals would be in the POA species.
I actually was going to say something smart, but I was out of beer, so I just answered it.
Someone help this man out.
Somebody's thirsty.
He's reading
Does
the
anyone
audience.
know where we could get more beer?
I have a sixth question, if that's all right.
Yes.
DJ, what is your hat? What does your hat stand for? Yeah.
Bottle
yeah.
works.
Okay.
Go M's,
You
by
got
the
that
way.
one right. Nice job. No, very nice. Yeah.
I've sort of lost track of time this week. Was the game they won in the 13th inning last night? That is terrifying. Go M's. Go M's.
It was just a one-run game.
Hell of a ball game.
Hell of a ball game. Yeah. Can't wait to. It was a pitching show? Oh, pitching duel.
Like with swords but balls.
So
Yeah.
is that kind of like, would you like a glass for your beer? And you're like, bottle works. That's it? Cool.
Bottle works.
Well, Dave, how did our panel do on the quiz
Well, they pulled it out 4 out of 5. Pretty darn good. We call that a win.
Well, congratulations, DJ. You have won our prize. Everyone, it has been a true pleasure talking with you about the exciting things happening at the Grainmaker Beer and Grain Festival. Thank you so much for joining us for Not My Beer. That wraps up the first part of our show. We'll now take a break and be back in a few with our panel, Tim and Dave, and an audience contestant for a little game we call Beer Limericks.
Welcome back to Lumberbeard Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington. This is Wheat Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. I'm Dave Basaraba, and once again, here's your host, Chris Cindric.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody. And now the game where you have to listen for the rhyme. It's called Beer Limericks. We've asked an audience member to step up to the challenge. Hello and welcome. Tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
Hello there. Oh, God, I'm so fucking nervous. Oh, fuck, I'm not supposed to. My name is Stephanie, and I started a beer Instagram about a year ago because I love fucking beer. God, I can't stop. I'm sorry. Fuck. Oh, shit. Yeah, so I started... Thank you. I started an Instagram about a year ago because I love beer, so I just have been enjoying beer all around the Pacific Northwest and just anywhere I can get my hands on one.
What's your Instagram handle?
Pacific Northwest Craft Beer Babe.
Sweet.
Thank you. I don't have very many followers, but it's okay.
Well, we can help, hopefully. We'll get you at least 2.
Yeah.
My mom will follow you as soon as she listens to the podcast.
Thank you, Mom.
So Pacific Northwest Craft Beer Dave, is
Babe.
that? Oh, I
Babe,
heard.
Dave. I mean, Dave probably would have been
Oh my
better,
gosh,
but-
it's the typical Dave lament. If you know a Dave or you are a Dave, walking through any sort of store where someone yells, "Hey babe," you swear you hear your name. What?
Really?
Seriously, my whole life, you're like, what? I am also a bit hard of hearing.
Well, welcome to the show, Stephanie. Here's what we're going to do at this point in the show. Dave is going to read you 3 beer-related limericks with the last word or phrase missing from each. If you can fill in that last word or phrase correctly, and just 2 of the 3 limericks, you will be a winner, which tonight, as we said, is a Mountain Lakes hat, a half pint glass from Mountain Lakes, and also a pair of sunglasses from Lumberbeard.
Awesome.
It's easier just to say, beer and a pint glass.
I'm sorry.
You know,
We take it on the road and things change.
I guess so.
You either change with it, Chris,
I got to adapt.
or you get left behind.
I got to adapt. Well, Stephanie, are you ready to play?
I think as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. Well, your limericks tonight deal with beer drinking vessels, so the glassware that we would use to drink
All right.
beer. Here is your first limerick.
Hans is a good friend of mine. We met in Deutschland on the Rhine. The flies were quite bad, so we both were sure glad. We drank Dunkels from our lid-covered...
Stein.
That's correct.
Thank you, Allison.
It is a lid-covered stein. Guys, anybody a fan of drinking out of beer steins still?
I'm going to Oktoberfest in Munich.
You're going to Munich this year?
Yes.
That's Munich, Ohio.
Don't worry, Brian. It'll be good.
Can't dignify that with a response. No, Munich, bro.
Yeah, that's rad, man. I'm so jealous.
That's
cool.
September 17th, something like that. Drink Tech conference, and then we're going to
Can
then
you
we're
send
going
me
to
pictures?
Greece.
I wanna see.
Yeah, I'll tag you.
And
Yes,
then you're going to
thank you.
Yeah,
you're
thank
going
you.
to Greece?
Yeah, Oktoberfest.
You're going to Oktoberfest in Greece?
No, God. Damn it.
Wait, I thought it was Germany. I don't know a lot about beer, sorry.
Munich to Bologna to Rome to Corfu to Athens.
That's a bunch of baloney.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
I've never been to Canada, so I mean, props to you.
I'll tag you the next time I'm in Canada.
Well, and do you know why the Stein has a lid? Do people know why that, like the traditional beer
Traditionally,
Stein?
wasn't it to keep fruit flies out?
Yeah, exists.
So you
Like,
don't spill it on yourself?
That's what the old guys told me when I was, yeah. Or, no, that lid will not stop it from spilling on you. Trust me.
yeah, mainly it's like when you're drinking your beer, then you want to keep the flies out of your beer, so you have this little lid.
Also,
then
because
there's
they drink out of much larger vessels. They don't consume the beer
the flies.
as quickly. Yeah, the flies do. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're much larger vessels.
It also helps if you're drinking with Bill Cosby.
Oh.
Too soon?
No, not too soon.
We could bring those back, like
At least Stephanie liked that joke.
you go to certain places, maybe they should have lids. Yeah, so, like people now will put a coaster sometimes on the
Yeah,
top of their beer.
don't touch
and
my
it's
drink,
the same
yeah.
kind of thing, and it's keep the flies out and so on.
Not the
so
Spanish flies.
Here's your second limerick.
That girl knows exactly what thrills her. It's the beer in her glass that does fill her. Put away the IPA for another rainy day. Fill her slender, tall glass with a...
With a Pilsner.
Very good. Pilsner drinkers here. What do we think? Yeah, there's a few out there. Woo. A lot of people drinking the Czech Pils, which is actually not traditionally served out of a slender, tall glass, but out of a mug, and typically a dimpled mug, right, as we'd have. So why out of the tall, slender glass are Pilsners drank?
I think because visually they like to watch the bubbles travel.
Yeah.
Pilsners are traditionally known to, release CO2 more, throughout the entire time it's in the glass.
Right. Yeah, what's your Pilsner? What do you guys have?
Oh God, bad timing.
It's
on
called
this.
Oh God?
We don't have one right now. We just kicked it, but we did have a couple of pilsners and a Kolsch.
But you've brewed Pilsners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have two pilsner tanks that we're setting up. I think tomorrow before Grainmaker.
Right. So talk about that, a little bit about what a Pilsner tank is and does.
Yeah. So a pilsner tank, and Brett has a couple of them. Actually, Brett has one, but it's like triple the size of the two that we're putting in.
It's not the size that matters.
Oh, okay. 4 times whatever, Brett.
Yeah.
It's cold outside.
They don't heat their brew house.
A lager. Yeah. What a sample.
It's a sample.
A Pilsner tank is horizontal because it increases the surface to depth ratio, which allows the yeast, the slow-moving lager yeast, to ferment the beer a lot quicker. So you're looking at like 2 to 4 weeks as opposed to like 2 months for a normal vertical lagering tank. Or fucking fermentation vessel. There we go.
Right. So
You
you're
got there.
exposing the yeast to a larger surface area.
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
The idea is you sprinkle more over the top, has less distance to travel, so therefore the fermentation is done a little bit quicker
Yeah. So if you've
and
seen
more
those,
controlled. Yeah.
yeah, if you've seen those conical fermenters, and typically you tilt one of those on side and kind of
Yeah.
get rid of the conical end, and then you've got
Yeah, it's just a big round cylinder,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
awesome, very cool. Here is your third limerick.
Beer drinking feats are a hoot. The most challenging none can dispute. Chugging a pint can't compare with the volume and flair of drinking quantities of beer from Das.
Boot.
Das Boot.
Which I've never done.
boot. I messed up. I was supposed to bring my boot tonight and have somebody maybe drink out of it.
Oh, that would've
and
been
in
so
the
cool.
haste of things, I forgot.
You didn't have
So
to admit that.
What is wrong?
I apologize. That was the segment. So imagine that happening right now. Probably Brian would be coming
Brian
up.
will be drinking from the boot.
Drink that
I would've done
And
it.
we'd be like,
Drink that.
Oh, Stephanie's on board.
I would have been on board. Let's do it.
Dude.
You guys could drink out of my sandals if you want.
There's a lot of holes there.
Brett,
though.
you've got a glass boot
No.
in the back, don't you?
No boot? That's not good. Here, hold on. Wait, I'm going to do a little thing. Ready? And then you can post this to your Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
And then as soon as you post that, there'll be 20 people that were following you that will stop following you.
Probably. I get enough of those, so it's fine.
All right, let's try one more. Now I got everybody. Get in there. All right, here we go. And boom, there it is. You'll see that later on Instagram. So, so the people, I guess the boot is like the oldest beer drinking game. That people, from what I've read about, is that they had ceramic-filled boots that had been found thousands of years ago, and that people actually were drinking out of those boots, and they think it was probably like a game where people would drink it or pass it around. It was kind of cool.
Do you need to use the technique from the movie Beer Fest?
I don't know.
To,
I
you got to turn it.
Yeah.
The 90,
The bubble, right?
The bubble,
But not
exactly.
the whole thing.
You got to be ready for it. You got to practice with it. Yep.
That's why you need a Jew.
Yep.
I know.
I learned that from the movie.
No, nobody gets it? No?
Nobody saw that movie?
I guess not.
No?
Beer
Really?
Fest, folks. Beer Fest.
That's with like William Forte, and yeah, it's like a good movie.
Dude, all the guys
William
in Super
Forte?
Troopers? Badass.
Well, he's a buddy of mine, so
We have to get.
You
we have
grew
to
up
get-
together?
We have to get back to the game, right, Meow?
yeah.
Right, Meow?
Chris, I wanted to like that movie. I really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meow.
It's just not that good.
Well, Dave, how does Stephanie do us on our quiz?
That's 100%. That's a win.
Woo!
Well, there you go. We'll now take a break and be back in a few with our guest panel, Dave and Tim, and a little game we call Brewers on Tap.
Hey folks, this is Dave. I just wanted to apologize to our listeners real quick. Due to technical malfunctions and possibly just a huge mistake by yours truly, the final segment of this episode was lost to a corrupted file. I've made every attempt to retrieve it, but it is a lost cause. My apologies for taking so long to get this episode out to you. I was really trying to save this segment. We hope you enjoy the rest of our first ever on-the-road version of Wheat Wheat Don't Tell Me, live from Lumberbeard Brewing Company. We want to shout out our thanks to Brett and the whole team at Lumberbeard for their hospitality and accommodation. Thank you also to all of our friends and neighbors who came out for the recording, to Brian Estes at Link Malt, Jason Gass at Yaya Brewing Company, Matt Holliker at Holliker Farms, and all the folks at Coldstream Malt and Grain Company. And of course, thank you mostly to the first annual Grain Maker event through which this whole episode on the road was made possible. We'll be taking the month of September off, and we'll see you back for another live recording of Wheat Wheat Don't Tell Me, live from the Brewhouse stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in October. Cheers.
Drink up.